I'm Jim Goldgeier, Dean of the School of International Service, and it's a great pleasure to welcome you to this final Dean's discussion of the fall semester. And we're just so thrilled to have Ambassador Jilani here. So appreciative that you've been able to take the time to be here with us, and just delighted to welcome so many students to this event. We're really pleased that you're here for this discussion on U.S.-Pakistan relations and other issues that are of interest to you. We'll certainly leave plenty of time for Q&A. We were just discussing that Ambassador Jilani assumed his responsibilities as Ambassador of Pakistan to the United States on January 2nd of 2014. So we're almost at the one-year anniversary, and wish him a happy one-year anniversary here in Washington, D.C.
Thank you so much.
Prior to his appointment as ambassador here, he served as Foreign Secretary of Pakistan from March 2012 to December 2013. Previously served as ambassador of Pakistan to Belgium, Luxembourg, and the European Union, as Pakistan's High Commissioner to Canberra, Australia from 2007 to 2009. And he had a variety of other overseas assignments as well. I'm particularly grateful to him. He's participated on the SIS Ambassadors Advisory Committee, which is a committee of ambassadors that advises me on how we can better develop partnerships with the embassies here in town. And we've gotten a lot of good ideas from Ambassador Jilani and some of the other ambassadors here about ways that we can increase our interactions with the embassies. And I'm also extremely grateful to him for the support that he's shown for the U.S.-Pakistan Women's Council, which is a joint initiative of the State Department and American University, and which is housed at the School of International Service, and is currently directed by Melanie Bixby, who's also here. So very pleased for all of that, and welcome to American University for what seems to be the third or fourth time, I think. So thanks for being here.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation. It is always a delight coming to the American University and also interacting with the students. You are absolutely right that this is a great institution that I have come to, and the issues that we are going to discuss are also very important from our point of view and from the point of view of our American colleagues. You are absolutely right that we have a very strong connection with the American University, not only in the context of many of the students who are studying in this great institution from our part of the world, but also in terms of our joint partnership in the context of U.S.-Pakistan Women's Council, of which American University is a great partner. So we look forward to this interaction with the students.
Wonderful, yes. And as I said, we'll open it up. I'm going to ask the ambassador a few questions to get us started, but we'll then open it up, and particularly delighted, as we were talking about before, about the robustness of our South Asian Students Association and the number of activities that the association puts on each year, and delighted to be able to help support that in any way we can from the Dean's Office in SIS. So wanted to start by, you've been here a year, and wanted to start with sort of what you see as the major challenges as you represent Pakistan here in the United States, and where you see the opportunities. As you know, a lot of the discussion surrounding Pakistan here in the United States revolves around Pakistan's relationship with the Taliban in Afghanistan, other issues related to terrorism, the fact that Osama bin Laden had been in Pakistan prior to the American operation, that led to his killing. And so that tends to dominate the news here in the United States with respect to U.S.-Pakistan relations. How do you, as your country's representative here, manage these types of challenges, and how do you see things developing as we go forward?
Well, Jim, you mentioned about the challenges that the ambassador of Pakistan he faces in Washington, D.C., but to be very honest, I would also like to tell people back home that this is a very challenging assignment, but in actual effect, this post is a picnic as compared to my previous position. I was Foreign Secretary, and the kind of challenges that one faced in that position, and also the kind of interaction that I have in Washington, there is absolutely no comparison. Having said that, I think there are perceptions that we have with regard to this relationship. There are complaints. There have been complaints in the past about this relationship. I would say mutual complaints. There were issues which were raised by the US side vis-a-vis Pakistan. There were issues from our side vis-a-vis the United States of America. And some of the issues that you mentioned, they were the kind of issues that we were discussing in the past. To be very honest, despite many ups and downs that this relationship has seen, and as I mentioned, that this is a very important relationship, we have both now decided to transcend the past and to look to the future. And this is the kind of approach that we are following in Pakistan, and this is the approach that I feel is being followed in the case of the United States of America as well. There was a time we were discussing the kind of issues like the Taliban, the role of the jihadi organization, Osama bin Laden. There was a certain perception that was created by the media. But on the other hand, there was a perception, there was a Pakistani narrative about these issues. But the point is that those were the kind of issues which were also a legacy of a time when relationship between our two countries, they were not very good. You know, it was a tense phase that we followed mainly on account of developments which were taking place in Afghanistan, because the way, the approach that was being followed by the US to fix the problems in Afghanistan and the kind of approach that we were following, they were a kind of a disconnect. And I think that one thing led to the other. But now when I look back, I think, and now when I look at the current phase of this relationship, I think it's a phase which is a very positive phase in our relationship. The interaction that is taking place between our two countries is on an extremely positive lines. On bilateral plane, I can tell you that not only that we have been able to revive the strategic dialogue between our two countries, we have also established 6 working groups to advance this relationship. And those 6 working groups, they relate to economy and trade, energy sector cooperation, they relate to counterterrorism cooperation, defense cooperation, and nuclear non-proliferation and strategic stability. These are the 5 groups. Recently, we have added another group, working group in this in order to advance cooperation in the field of education and science and technology. At the regional level, again, I would say that today there are more convergences. We share the same objective of peace and stability in Afghanistan, and in recent months, the kind of developments which have taken place in Afghanistan and the kind of interaction that is taking place between Pakistan and the United States of America, and in a trilateral process as well as in a bilateral context, that is again on a very positive trajectory. Our relationship with the new government in Afghanistan, they have improved tremendously. We are talking about the development of a mechanism of comprehensive cooperation, including border management, security, terrorism, economic and trade relations, and also regional connectivity, economic connectivity areas. In the context of global cooperation that we have been able to forge with the United States of America, again, I think at the global level also there is a very good cooperation going on between Pakistan and the United States. We recently, when the United States sponsored a resolution at the United Nations Security Council, we played an active part, and the resolution was against terrorist organizations operating, including ISIS and other organizations operating in various countries. And we took a very active part in bringing about a consensus, and the resolution was passed in the Security Council. Similarly, we are cooperating very closely on climate change. We are also cooperating very closely on regional peace and stability issues. We also share the same objectives of nuclear non-proliferation with the United States of America, and we are working very closely to achieve these objectives. So I think these are some of the areas in which at the bilateral level, at the regional level, at the global level that we are working. And the interaction, I can tell you, is extremely good. There is good cooperation that we have been able to forge with the administration, with the members of the Congress, and also with the institutions. So that's a.
Can you? I'd like to follow up a little bit on the effect that the operation against ISIS is having on the relationship, because certainly, again, from the U.S. public opinion or public focus, that has where attention used to be placed on Afghanistan, attention is now shifting towards what's going on in Syria and Iraq as the operation against ISIS intensifies. How has that shift in the way that the American public and also the American government, as it winds down the operation in Afghanistan and ramps up the operation against ISIS, how does that affect the relationship between the United States and Pakistan?
Well, I think again, I think we are all on the same page as far as ISIS and other organizations are concerned. There are organizations like ISIS and other similar organizations, whether it's Al-Qaeda or Bahjat al-Nusra or other organizations. They are a threat to international peace and stability, and it requires a common response on the part of the entire international community. And this is something that has been forged. As far as we are concerned, in Pakistan, we have the policy that we have articulated is that there is going to be a zero tolerance for organizations like ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and other similar organizations. The operations that we have conducted in North Waziristan, for instance, and these operations which were conducted in June of this year, they have been extremely successful in eliminating their presence from the so-called safe havens, which were previously being referred to in North Waziristan, in the tribal areas of Pakistan. We feel very confident that we will be able to clean up the entire area of Waziristan from all these organizations, whether they are Haqqani Network, whether they are Al-Qaeda or similar organizations. And I think that would also send a message across to the other organizations who may have any inclination to spread their tentacles, not only in their own respective regions, but also in countries like Afghanistan and Pakistan. So it's a robust kind of an operation that is going on. The important thing is that the entire Pakistani population supports these operations that are being conducted in Pakistan. We have been able to co-opt the tribals into these operations. They are fully behind the operations. We have lost about 180 soldiers, but in the operation. But at the same time, we have been able to eliminate about 1,200 of the hardcore criminals from that area, and many of them they have dispersed. Their command and control system has been destroyed. Their ammunition and their capacity has been reduced to almost zero. We are confident that the way we are proceeding, we will be able to take care of this phenomenon very soon.
And as we think about the next year or so, 2 years, with respect to the United States and winding down its involvement in Afghanistan, and there was a time when the United States really used to, use the phrase AFPAC. I mean, it was this sort of notion that this was one issue. As the United States winds down its